Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Life According to Cree, the podcast. As always, I am your host, Cree Cole, and Life According to Cree, the podcast is the place and the space where we have real life conversations. Real life conversations about life, love, growth, relationships, and the truth that we sometimes have to learn the hard way. Now, let's get into today's conversation because I want to talk about a feeling a lot of people don't like to admit out loud. And I don't know if it's a pride thing, but it's the feeling of feeling stuck. Like nothing is moving, like you're in the same place, like everyone else is progressing but you. Like you're watching people get married, promoted, move forward, start over, level up. And somehow you feel like you're standing still. Same bills, same questions, same uncertainties. And after a while, you start asking yourself, like, what am I doing wrong? But what if I told you you're not stuck? You're just anchored. And there is a difference, a big one. But before we get into all that, let's go ahead and take care of this real life recap. Because maybe if I may give you a little funny, but I'm never gonna tell you a lie. And if I feel like there's something that you need to know, i.e., in your everyday life in this world, baby, I'm gonna give it to you. So the headlines, the conversations, the things that make you pause and think a little bit deeper, because sometimes we be running around through this life, we don't have no clue of what's going on around us. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about old PD. Peter himself. Peter himself got his himself behind them people mic and actually quoted Samuel L. Jackson in front of a room full of religious leaders at a religious conference. Even gave a beautiful backstory. Pete Hegseth actually believes that, I don't even know if he believes it. Pete Hegseth was hired to play the role of the United States Secretary of Defense. He's on a 4-year contract. There is people are just talking about some. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Why don't you believe it? Everybody else believes it. We didn't expect anything other than what we all are seeing. The people who voted for Kamala Harris, we all expected exactly what is happening. We knew it was going to be that bad. And I don't care how many people leave MAGA. I don't care how many people have buyer's remorse. When you choose hate, even for those who aren't racist, right? When you choose to go and side with hate because you just really want to see what it'll look like if black and brown people don't matter. The fact that when you make those type of choices, you get what you get. What you fail to realize is that a lot of the things that you thought were going to affect just us affect you too. What a lot of people should be learning is that we only have those things because you have them. We were never getting something that you did not have access to. We were operating in the same space. It just looked cuter and it looked more humanitarian to put one of our faces in the front instead of one of y'all based on your ancestors' history. Now you have an idiot, not even an idiot like Pete Hegseth getting up in front. They have the shit show is the shit show. Oil prices, inflation, and Iran tensions have had the White House in complete disarray. But that's what happens when you introduce chaos into what was designed to be a complex. That is what happens. There is, with everything that's going on with the Strait of Hormuz, gas prices are pushing inflation right back to the center of the federal policies discussion. Reports show that one of the sharpest jumps in fuel costs, creating added pressure to both the White House and the Federal Reserve to do something. And trust and believe, the White House, i.e. Donald Trump, is not fit to take any responsibility. He about to be right back bothering Jerome Powell, talking about changing interest rates when at the end of the day, if you just leave people alone, if you just let Israel do what Israel gonna do, because see, the thing about it is, God left Israel alone a long time ago. They got their own issue with the Lord that ain't got nothing to do with you. Israel is still on the same type of time that they was when they left, and they've been in the same. This ain't that. This ain't that episode. This ain't that episode. So if you've been standing at the pump and feeling offended, you should be. Sometimes geopolitics sounds like a distant conversation because how does this affect me? If it's not going to affect me in my house, you having to pay upwards. I'm in the state of South Carolina. Gas is about $4. You having to pay upwards of $4 to $10 for gas per gallon. Baby, that affects your household, sweetie. What they're doing overseas affects your house. On your dirt road, in your high-rise condominium, in your trailer, in your 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. It affects each and every one of us. And in black entertainment, Ye popped out. And Ye gave us an album. The only thing about it is ain't nobody trying to listen to Ye because Ye comes off performative. His progress comes off performative. It just does. Major. When he popped out, it's supposed to be the headliner at SoFi Stadium, and for that thing overseas, them promoters was like, nah, not today. We can't do it. They said, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what the public do. The fans were divided. Critics had opinions. Social media did what social media does. And honestly, every time Ye reappears, it becomes less about the performance and a more larger conversation about accountability, talent, legacy, and whether the public ever truly separates art from the artist. Some people can, but a lot of us can't. David, D4VD. Y'all remember the story where they was talking about that a car that he once owned and supposedly had sold had a deceased body in it. They don't went and pick your boy up. They don't went and pick him up, and he faces criminal charges in the death of Miss Celeste Rivas. This comes like 1 week after it was discussed, in different entertainment stories. It created major conversation across black entertainment media and social news outlets, probably about just over a year ago. And once again, we're watching how quickly public opinion forms become more and more facts year by year. Celebrity culture moves fast, but real life consequences move even faster. And stories like this remind people how quickly image and reality collide. And y'all know, of course, I'm going to talk about women's basketball. UCLA, everybody they put in the draft got in. My girl Raven, she is very, 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 very much a member of the Indiana Fever. Yes, the Indiana Fever, where Caitlin Clark is the face. Yes, that Caitlin Clark. Why would I go out there and doing that? Girl, I ain't studying nothing about you, Caitlin Clark. Guess what? That was college. You know what them girls at now? They in the dump. And I can't wait to see old Hollywood Raven Johnson show up and show out for the people. Now, let me tell you something. If you don't go draft the only person who ever, without mugging her to death, locked down what was said to be the best, the greatest women's college athlete ever, if you don't go get the only person to ever lock her up, come on now. AZ Fudd, of course, went first. Only to be in press conferences, one in particular that we've been talking about this week, where the Dallas Wings was like, nah, we're not asking you ain't asking no questions about her relationship with Paige, unless you're talking about their relationship between playing from kids up to college. If you're talking about any part of their relationship other than that, we're not having it. And I see a lot of people, even people like Dez Bryant, coming online being like, that comes along with it. We've never thought this was fair. This is what it looks like when you are at an organization that never thought it was okay for press to ask people's personal business about their sex life, their romantic relationships, their marriages, their children. This is what it looks like when an organization has witnessed it over the years and has never thought it was okay. This is what it looks like when an organization actually gives us and wants to wants to hold everybody accountable and make sure that everybody is doing what their job is. We did not invite Variety Magazine here. So why are you asking those types of questions? You are sports media. And the fact that sports media has gone so far outside of the rails of what it used to be is a problem. Also, for people like Dez Bryant, the first generation, I know his name. I'm not gonna say his name because I can't stand that man. The amount of money that you make does not give people access to you. That does not give people eminent domain over access to who you are outside of your job. These are these women's jobs, just like those jobs. When you all were actively playing the sports that you were in, that was your job. Them people ain't had no business asking you no questions about anything outside of your job. And the fact that the problem was not the question, the problem was the way that the question was asked. And taking the fact that in order to be a journalist, you have to go to college, you have to learn some certain principles. He made a choice to ask that question. That girl had answered that same question all week long. She answered that question all week long. Everybody had enough respect. Why you guys say, are y'all still together? Why the fuck? What publication do you work for, sir? TMZ was there. Y'all inviting TMZ to the presses. Because that's the only way that can make sense. But congratulations to all the ladies who were drafted. Congratulations to all the ladies who will get picked up. I love seeing women's sports get talked about like the main event because it's actually what it is at this time of the year. It's what it is. So make sure that you stay tuned. Keep following all the ladies as they enter into their WNBA careers. Make sure that you are checking out the games throughout the season. Because everybody keeps screaming about, y'all better be thanking Caitlin Clark for y'all, blah, 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 blah. But baby, that just lets me know you don't really watch no games. I ain't seen Caitlin play nothing but twice, and the only reason why I saw her play twice last season is because she was playing the team that I do follow. That's neither here nor there. Let's move on. We've been conditioned to believe that if we're not constantly moving, we're not progressing. If we're not producing, posting, achieving, announcing, building, launching, then somehow we must be failing. And that mindset will wear you deep out. Okay? Because sometimes life has to slow down on purpose. Sometimes a pause is necessary. Because in a world that celebrates visible progress, people struggle to honor private growth. We tend to be so consumed with showing up and showing out that we don't appreciate the milestones that we hit personally. Nobody claps for healing, not for real. I mean, it's cute to jump on somebody's post and put a little heart on it, put a little thing meme on it. You go, girl. Like, it's cute to do that. But honestly, nobody throws a party because you finally set a boundary. Nobody posts congratulations because you chose peace over chaos. But that still matters. That still counts. A lot of women are calling themselves stuck when really, I promise you, really, you're just in a grounding season. A season where life is forcing you to sit still long enough to hear yourself. Not only yourself, whatever God it is that you do your 1 2 2. And that can feel uncomfortable. It's what we oftentimes call being in your own head. You know how many people literally run from their own thoughts on a regular basis? You ever knew somebody that every time they had a type of life change, whether it be good or bad, every time they have a life change, they got to go have a drink. Even if it's a celebratory drink, they have to go get a drink. They got to smoke. Got to smoke cigarette. I'm working on it. Don't judge me. You know those people? Those are the people who oftentimes are uncomfortable in their own thoughts. But because stillness makes you confront things, movement helps you avoid things like your habits, your patterns, your loneliness, your truth. Sometimes we stay busy because busy is easier than being honest. Sometimes we're going out 4 or 5 times a week, hitting everybody's happy hour because the types of truths that we'll have to reconcile in our own minds and maybe share with others requires too much honesty, not performance. I know that between 2021 and 2023, I was the outside. When I say I was outside Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and sometimes Sunday. And taking the fact that I have a full-time job, baby, that's a lot. Over 40 in a full-time job, that's a lot. I was running, literally running from my own thoughts. I am someone who consistently runs from their own thoughts because there are constantly thoughts running through my head. I have a true Aquarius brain where I can have 7 ideas pop into my head back to back to back or simultaneously. And each I'm trying to work through each one of the ideas all at one time. I'm constantly moving, constantly going mentally, even if I'm not moving physically. It is exhausting. It is exhausting. But in that time between 2021 and 2023, I was doing everything that I could to silence the noise. Because if I allowed all of my all of my ideas to mix in with my intrusive thoughts, I was going to be paralyzed, like professionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. So I ran. I ran. I was constantly on the go and taking my life circumstances. It's like, how you always somewhere? Da da da. Because I was trying to not deal, even though I knew I was hurt. I was trying to not have to deal and feel the hurt. Even though I knew I was sad, I didn't want, and scared, I didn't want to deal with the random thoughts that were popping in my head based on all the fears I had because of the situation that was going on very close to me during that time. It wasn't until 2023, and I was like, you know what, Crystal? You got to deal with it because it's not over. And if you don't deal with your fears now, how are you going to manage and be able to be there for the people that you care about, the people that you're scared for? How are you going to be able to be there for them if you're not able to manage what you're feeling? If you don't talk to someone about what's going on inside of you, how are you going to be able to be a blessing and a voice and a level of calmness for them? It took me a minute. But I was like, people don't take advantage of the things they should take advantage of. I actually reached out through my employer's employee dot 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 program that we have, and I found me a therapist. I live, I live by telling people, so go visit betterhelp.com. Find you somebody in your area that can give you what you need. Because once I stopped and said, I need help because I am stuck in this cycle where everything looks good. I move, all these things are moving, these physical things are moving forward around me, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, I am stuck. I use the word stuck only for me to get 3 visits in with that therapist and for her to pour into me what I am now sharing with you. I wasn't stuck, I was anchored. Anchored versus being stuck. Let's really talk about the difference because being stuck and being anchored can feel similar from the outside, but internally they are very different. Being stuck feels heavy, it feels like resistance. Like you want to move, but whether it's fear, confusion, or old patterns, keep pulling you backwards. Being anchored feels different. Anchored feels rooted. It means stable. It means that life may not be moving fast, but something important is happening underneath the surface. Like it means of a like by means of a relationship, right? Romantic relationship. You've been in a relationship 15 years, whether it be a marriage or y'all just been together 15 years. Because these days, and what I've come to find out, even back in the day, people used to just be with people forever in a day with no paperwork. But that's another conversation. Let's say you've been in a relationship 15 years, you've been in a marriage for 15 years, and fear of what life will look like without being with that person, confusion because one part of you is saying do one thing and another part of you is doing another, and the pattern, or should I say lifestyle, that you are accustomed to, whether it be a luxurious one or one where y'all do what y'all got to do. Those things can pull you back. But that's not what anchored is. Anchored is literally slowing down. That way you can really understand and hold yourself accountable and work through what's actually happening underneath. Think about it like this, right? Maybe you're single longer than you expected. I can tell you back in 2018, when me and my ex finally split for dunsies, for goodsies, for the first 2 years, I was like, if I can't have you, I'll just be single for the rest of my life. I wasn't looking for nobody. Because I only wanted, if we weren't going to be together, I didn't want nobody else. I go crazy if I can't have you for him. I said, the nigga had a girlfriend before hell I could finish the damn verse. He was already moved on. But in my mind, I still didn't want to be with nobody but him for the first 2 years. Then after that, when I got over there and I was like, what? Girl, you was tripping. It's about 2020. I was like, girl, you tripping. Let's get out. Go outside. Let's get outside. What is happening? And then I was like, after I, checked out the terrain, saw I was like, I don't want to get in no relationship. I'm not, that's not the goal. That's not the goal. But I never thought I would actually 8 years later, 6 years later, not be. I never thought that I was going to be single this long. I never thought that. I did not see that shit coming. But being single this long didn't change my perspective on it at all. But I did not expect it. I would be lying if I said I just knew that wasn't going to be the case. And maybe, not only for myself, but for you too, maybe this is a season to unlearn standards, not a season for loneliness. Maybe your career slowed down. That doesn't mean that you failed. Damn. Relax. Dial it back. Maybe this is a season where your identity has to grow bigger than your job title. Mm. That's where I am. If I keep it, yeah, that's where I am. I had that moment. And it was like, you are that bitch at what you do, but baby, there is so much more inside of you. Maybe your friendship shifted, but maybe just whatever season of motherhood you're in changed you. Maybe healing made you less available for dysfunction. That's not stuck. That is alignment. And sometimes we call it stuck because growth doesn't look glamorous. But being rooted things don't move quickly. They grow deeply. When you become anchored, you start to enter into your trusting season. And this part right here, this is where people start to struggle the most when they're trying to figure out whether or not, or when they're calling themselves stuck, when they're really truly anchored. Because nobody likes uncertainty. Nobody likes waiting. Nobody likes waiting. Everybody is impatient when it comes to themselves. If there's one prayer that I always, If there's one thing people throw into prayer, no matter where I'm at, it's for patience. Whether it's patience for the whole room, patience for themselves, patience from everybody under the sound of my voice. Nobody likes praying for clarity and feeling like heaven left you on red. Let's be honest. Sometimes the trusting season feels spiritual, but sometimes it feels irritating because you're doing the work, you're showing up, you are trying, you are doing everything you can, and still nothing seems to be changing. That's frustrating. Like, especially when you feel like everybody else is getting their breakthrough. And I'm just here. So and so's marriage is going great. My other homegirl, she in a relationship, she all in love now. And you're just left waiting, wondering, questioning, did I miss my moment? Did I make the wrong choice? Did I wait too long? Did I outgrow and move past the wrong people? Did I ask for too much? These are real questions. These are real questions. And sometimes the answer isn't that you missed it. Sometimes the answer simply is it is not your time. It is not time. And maturity is learning the difference between delay and denial. Like people, it's a cute little catchphrase, delayed, not denied. You can buy the t-shirts. I think you can buy the wristbands. Um, I see the little things that you can post on your social media, the little cutesy things. But there is, in fact, a difference between delay and denial. Some reasons are not about action. Sometimes it has absolutely nothing to do with what you physically did not do. They're about preparation. They are about emotional maturity. They're about healing. They're about learning how to hold what you keep asking for. I had a conversation with my 25 a couple weeks ago. He was 24, but I had a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago about how I was blessed while I was pregnant with him to be employed at a job where I had everything that I needed. Even though I was only 20 years old, I didn't have to go out there and look for welfare. I didn't have to get no food stamps. No hits to anybody that did, because later on, baby, I got everything. I got everything that I needed when I was in that season. But when he was first, even though I was only 20, I was 19 when I got pregnant. I was 20 when I had him. I was telling him how blessed I was in order to be able to have that type of job, to be making that type of money at my age, to have the help that I had, but to be making that type of money. And that I, after his birth, by choices I made in regards to how I handled myself at that employer, how I handled time while I was at that employer, I lost that job. And how I went for months applying to jobs that were similar. They would not give me the time of day. Not an interview, not a nothing. I mean nothing. To the point where I went from having a high paying clerical job at the age of 18, losing it at 21, to dropping fries. I literally had to start back from the ground up. From the ground up. Because I was asking God to bless me with another job as good as the one that I had. But I had to show him that I was mature, that I had grown up, that I had healed from the anger that I had from losing that. I had to show him, and I had to start from the ground. I went from dropping fries and shucking chicken to getting actually to working in customer service in a clothing store where I was responsible for certain clerical things, but I also I was ringing people up and giving people what they needed, being responsive to customers. I had to learn that skill and show that I could be that person because I had not been that person before. I wasn't that person before, just honestly. So moving up to being able to work in a hotel as a desk manager. So now I'm back percolating. I'm getting a little closer. I'm getting a little closer. And that same employer that had fired me years before was hiring for a new project, calling back old employees based on what they were released for, and called me back. And I was able to go back to that company, work for that company, excel in that company, and take that role, smack it up, flip it, and rub it down into a career that I have had for the past 16 years. Because if you get the blessing before you set the foundation, there's a possibility that you could lose both. And that's what I did. We have to redefine what progress looks like, because progress is not always loud. Saying no, leaving toxic relationships, not texting back, going to therapy, choosing rest without guilt, paying your bills on time, protecting your peace, starting over privately, apologizing, forgiving yourself, walking away, staying gone. That is progress. And honestly, if we put all the bullshit aside, some of the strongest growth seasons of our lives will happen where nobody is there to applaud you, because they are internal, they're quiet, they're sacred. They're the moments where you realize it and you just got to celebrate yourself. You can be mid conversation. I have been mid conversation with someone and had the realization of how far I've come just based on the way the conversation going and how I'm interacting in that conversation. Those internal changes are sacred. And if you are the only person there to validate yourself through visible milestones, if that's a problem for you to be the only person, you'll miss the miracle of internal transformations that you have. Just because it's not moving doesn't mean it's not working. Sometimes your life looks quiet because your roots are growing. And roots matter more than appearances every single time. So, ladies, before you label yourself as being stuck, I need for you to pause and ask yourself, am I truly stuck or am I being prepared? Am I behind or am I building something deeper than people can see? Because maybe your life isn't delayed. Maybe your roots are just growing where nobody can see them yet. Maybe this season isn't punishment. Maybe this season is protection. Maybe this pause isn't failure. Maybe it's foundation. And maybe, just maybe, you're not stuck at all. Maybe you're finally becoming stable enough to hold on to what's coming next in your life. So now, if you rocked with this and this episode spoke to you, I want you to do two things. And I got to read them because I want to make sure that it get done, okay? First, drop a comment and be honest with yourself. Are you in your growth season or a grounding season right now? Is it a growth season or a grounding season? And if you know someone who's been feeling stuck and has confided in you, send this episode over to them. Let them check it out. You can even tag them in the comments. Because sometimes people don't need motivation, they need perspective. And motivation and perspective are not the same things. Sometimes, you ever had those people that tell you, bitch, I just needed you to listen. I didn't need you to talk. And if you're ready to better understand your season and move with more intention, visit LYFAccording.com. Tap into the Life Check and Empower 365 challenges. You can also check out my interactive workbooks designed to help you choose the process that you want to use and process where you are. You can also explore my books from the Empowered Living, Life Teens, and Life Kids collection, okay? They are all different levels in order to support different age groups while they're on their journeys, okay? And for your daily dose of me, Cree, make sure you're following me on all social media platforms. On all of them, you can find me at Life According to Cree on all social media platforms. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay connected to make sure that you are involved and have access to every single episode. So thank you for tuning in to Life According to Cree, the podcast. And remember, loving yourself first isn't selfish. It's about learning to love yourself in a way that allows you to love others better. Okay? See y'all next weekend. Bye.